Brought to you by the law offices of both Eric Wicks and Jeffrey Gallup. Contact Eric Wicks at 321-733-2700 or reach out to Jeffrey Gallup at 321-757-6848. Call today. Welcome to Legally Bald.
Okay, so here we are on a rainy, not that cool night in Brevard County, downtown Melbourne, at our first podcasting of Legally Bald, here with Attorney Jeff Gallup and Attorney Eric Wicks and Joe and myself, Emily. So I'm going to introduce first Attorney Gallup. He is from the north, but he studied law in the south, Miami, all the way south. What is your proudest moment, Attorney Gallup?
Noticing for the first time that Eric Wicks won a 50 DUI acquitted a jury trial.
Was it 5th or 7th, Eric? I couldn't remember.
I think it was this guy's 7th DUI.
7th.
Yeah, but nobody knew that but you.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, the jury didn't know.
Yeah, the jury.
Because if the jury knew that, you would have lost.
Oh, yeah, we were done.
That would have
yeah,
been
no.
horrible. But
No.
they don't let the jury know.
No, that's the last time.
Did they find out afterwards and get mad at you?
They didn't get mad at me because, you know what? I didn't want to panel and veneer the jury after the trial.
So nobody told the jury that after the fact?
7
Not
DUIs.
as far as I know, yeah.
Because, what happens sometimes is the prosecutor gets mad. I've had this happen. You
Yeah.
go, and as the jury comes back not guilty, they go, and we had 7 prior DUIs, which isn't very nice. But
No, it's not. But in this case, the state attorney, I don't think, was very happy with the result. For some reason, they chose not to veneer the jury to see whether or not they actually chose to acquit him.
so the guy had 7, you
He
think?
still calls the office,
Yes, it
at
was-
least once a
it
month.
was a
Just to
7th
thank him?
DUI.
Well, no, he wants more free
He wants
legal
more free
advice.
legal
What does he ask if I get an 8th
He wants
DUI?
his
What'll
dri-
happen?
He wants his
It's a-
driver's license back.
Oh, yeah, that's not happening.
It's not happening. But, as far as helping people out,
He told the Bureau of Administrative Reviews that he needs it to go fishing.
Just so
Maybe he
you know.
wants to be an Uber driver.
I was thinking about that.
You have to make a living.
Attorney Gallup.
You asked that already. I said it was Eric Wicks winning that 7th DUI. I don't have
He's
a
been here
proud.
since 1990.
I would,
Come
but
on.
proudest
Come on.
moment.
There's got to
Oh,
be
I got
something.
this guy off who was whacking off in public. That was
Ooh.
good.
Well, the way you just said it, you got this guy off that was whacking.
Well, I got him off
Like-
too. I know it was kind of bad.
Is this
you
the
say
only
you can't-
profession where you can get guys off?
You can't say you got him
Getting
off.
girls off and it's legally bald.
Well, let
right?
me tell you, I picked just women on the jury.
Yeah.
Because I figured women would think, oh, yeah, all guys jerk off. Who cares? Honestly, I was looking for a masturbation case for a long time because I'm a big fan of masturbation. So I finally,
You
but-
look like you're a big fan.
but I do look like that. But most of the cases that would come for me were always these guys who would be stung by the cops. They'd be in a bathroom.
Right.
And he would go, he would like do something and he'd get caught. And they'd always tell me I'm not gay. It was my first time. But I
Right.
couldn't win those. So finally this guy comes
Yeah.
and he comes, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's, this is horrible. There's so many different things. So anyway, he's at this, first of all, he's at an adult bookstore. So what the
Okay.
hell do you think he's going to be doing? So he's in the back room.
He's looking for
Reading Shakespeare.
scholarly
He's got-
articles.
He's got the door open
Yeah.
and he's whacking off. They even got a towel and something to clean your hands with.
Okay.
And this cops comes in and the cop looks at him and he's mid-jerk.
Right.
So the cop thinks he's jerking off to him. I mean, he wasn't. He was
Did they make eye
jerking off.
contact?
They did. It was
Did they-
nice.
Deep.
So,
the
so
cop
anyway,
can just walk in there and
well, they
look
were
for the
stinging
crime?
the place. They were stinging the place. Yeah.
An idea is they were keeping eyes on the guys that were coming
Here,
into the store.
But he
Remember
said-
Raincoat Willies.
He said it was a lewd and lascivious they charged with. And my argument was he wasn't intending for anybody to see. He was
Right.
just. But when I picked the jury and I
Yeah.
had women, I said, look, are any of you against masturbation? I mean, my voir dire was like 10 minutes about jerking off. And
Oh,
one
no
of the
wonder
women,
was your favorite.
this was the best part.
Yeah.
The woman who was the woman,
Yeah.
can't say, we can say person.
Yeah, no, it's
Can't say four man.
The four
well, it's
skin.
not
Anyway,
foreskin.
the four person, the four LGBTAOU. Anyway,
Yeah.
she was a pastor's wife.
Really?
It was really nice. Yeah,
No.
and they still came back not guilty.
It was really
Not guilty?
nice.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So I was happy.
I'd be
Anyway,
proud.
that was my proudest moment.
You
I
should
got,
hear about the
I
worst
got a guy
ones.
off
I got-
from jerking off. Yeah.
All right. Really cool, Jeff.
Murder cases.
All right, we have attorney Eric Wicks here, who was a prosecutor in Paradise
That's right.
a couple years.
Yep.
That's where I scooped him
4
up.
years.
And then came to Brevard,
And wait,
Brevard.
Paradise where?
Key West.
Key West.
That's really the name, or you just
No,
call
no,
it Key West Paradise?
that's
That's
my,
the future screenplay.
Prosecutors in Paradise.
Oh, okay.
State
Yeah, he
There-
was prosecuting homeless people and fish crimes.
You were?
No, that's not true. I was an assistant state attorney.
You
in
were a
Key West.
prosecutor?
Yeah, I was a prosecutor.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I
But
thought
you
I
go to
told
both sides, huh?
Well,
I always thought you were
let's-
like.
let's-
I always thought you went both ways.
Offense and defense. So yeah, state attorney down in Key West, and then came up to Brevard County, worked at the public defender's office.
How did you end up here?
A friend of mine
Mike
from
Oley.
law school. Yeah, he asked me. He said, "Hey, Eric, would you like to open up a law practice?"
Who was it?
Mike Oley. He has a practice in Indian River. Oli, and Oli.
No, it's Oli and Oli now.
His dad
Okay.
passed.
They should call it Cuckoo Fran and Ollie.
That's the.
That would be funnier. Ollie, and Ollie. Anyway.
Well, no, so I came up here
Right.
and helped him.
Wait,
out
you
with his
came up here
practice.
to Brevard even though he was in Indian River?
He
Mhm.
opened up a branch.
He opened up a branch
So how come you didn't go to India?
because he wanted an office in.
You
Brevard.
can't say.
Mhm.
And he's
they're-
still a friend, huh?
Mhm.
Well, he
He's still a
wasn't
friend.
for a while, but
Yeah.
They
No.
should
we've
change.
repaired.
I think they should change the name of Indian River County, like the Commanders.
what?
River
Oh,
County or something.
yeah, right.
Can't say Indian.
No, you should.
You should. Cleveland. What do they call it?
The Redskins.
No,
No, you can't say
It's-
that.
That's what it used to be called.
I know, but
it's a Cleveland
it's
Guard.
you
terrible.
can't
I
even
agree.
say what
Well,
it used to be.
Yeah, I know.
Commanders, River County.
Yeah,
I
that
think
could
that
be-
doesn't
Yeah.
sound good,
That could
but
be
it's better than Indian.
So yeah, I came up here and then I worked at the public defender's office, and then
Who hired you? Was it
Blaze.
it was Blaze.
Yeah.
It was Blaze.
Do you know how I ended up here?
How'd you end up
Not that you care, but let
Yeah,
me
no,
tell you.
I don't care.
I don't either.
Can we move
But
on?
no, really,
I want to know.
this is a great
Yeah,
story.
okay, fine.
It's okay.
Is it going to be as good as the Whacking Mouse?
Nothing's as good as that.
Jeez.
I was at
got
Miami
guys
Law
like-
School, and you couldn't get a job unless you were in law review, which
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't. And so anyway,
Yeah.
so anyway, I don't even know where I started off. Like in the top, I think maybe 30%. But by the
Nice.
time I had to take trust in estates and commercial, I was
Mhm.
probably below 50%. I don't tell anybody that. Is this going to be on tape? Anyway, so what happened was there was only one job left in the whole friggin' world. And I applied everywhere in New Jersey, everywhere.
Mhm.
I even had an interview with a judge in New Jersey, and he said, "By the way, this is just a practice interview." I said, "For who? You or me?" Apparently, him. I'm not going to hire you. I'm just practicing my interview technique. Yeah, that was nice.
Oh.
So we're going to Brevard County. I don't know where it is. My uncle lives in Vero Beach.
Was that back when you had to use like paper maps?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
My uncle
And
lives in
Brevard
Vero.
was not really on the map.
And he knew where Rockledge was, which I thought was like the Flintstones. I got no clue where the hell we're going.
Right.
So he told me how to go. And as I'm driving for this job, there's a caravan of everybody in Miami who's a loser like me who doesn't have a job.
Hmm.
And I get to the public defender's office. There's a line. I swear to God, you couldn't get a job. It's not like today.
Yeah, yeah.
It was 93. There was a line on the driveway all the way out, almost to the street, for $27,000, no benefits. And Blaze was interviewing. And it was going so fast, the interview, I just started cracking jokes. I didn't know what to do. Blaze almost left. He
Oh.
never laughs.
No, he
No, he
doesn't. But
doesn't.
what was? Talk to me about that interview. What was the joke that you?
Well, I told him my dream was to represent people who masturbate.
Which later came to fruition.
I don't know. I started telling him about these stories I wrote and just,
Yeah.
the devil drinks dark beer and bacon double cheeseburger dilemma. And I don't even know if he knew what a Jew was, but I mean, he's like totally Anglo-Saxon. I love Blaze. He loves Jews, in case he's listening. But I just wanted to say, no,
Oh, he does.
Blaze was great. I mean,
Yeah.
he hired me. He hired a Jew.
Okay, so actually, what are some common misconceptions about criminal? Like the police didn't read me my Miranda.
Yeah, and Jeff, there are some common, suburban legal myths out there, and obviously as a criminal defense lawyer, I think it's important to talk about these legal myths, not only for those who are initiated, but for the uninitiated. So when it comes to my clients, and I'm sure you've had that too, you're going to have people that are going to ask you questions like, when the police arrest you, do they have to read your Miranda rights? What's your take?
Well, it's a common misconception. I think everybody who comes into the office, usually a DUI, they'll say they didn't read me my rights.
Right.
And what they don't understand, in order for Miranda to be read, you have to, one, be in custody, and two, the key is you have to be interrogated.
Right.
So what they don't realize, so I have to say to them, if they're not asking you questions, they don't have to read you your rights. But they finally sort of get it. But they think because their rights weren't read that they should just, the case just gets thrown out.
Right.
No matter what it is, murder, rape, pillage.
Sure.
I don't know if anybody gets started with pillage anymore.
Yeah,
but anyway,
yeah.
but then it just
Probably
gets,
in Brevard.
yeah, probably in Brevard.
Hey, what would Wayne do?
Yeah, that's right. It just gets thrown out. So yeah, it is a misconception. You don't have to be read your Miranda rights, but I think people think that from watching TV.
And that's what I was going to get at, because you do have those instances where they put the cuffs on you, they put you in the back of the car, and they take you to jail, and then you're stuck in that position where they've already put me under arrest, but they haven't asked me any questions. Did that change that dynamic?
Right. A smart police officer would just read him his rights as soon as he's arrested, because this way, if there's some questions on the car ride to the jail or
Right.
something, at least you have something out there. Most of them just waive their rights anyway.
Right.
Kids are the worst. So if you arrest a juvenile kid, you read him his rights, they just start blabbing away. So they don't
So
really
after
understand.
you get your rights read, you should shut the fuck up.
Always, yes. You should say, I want a lawyer now. Usually you should say, I want Eric Wicks, and that scares them.
Yeah.
Well, I'd say, I want Jeff Golub.
What about for the DUIs implied consent? We won a few cases because implied consent was
What's
totally
good is what
botched
you
in
reminded
Spanish.
me of is people always ask, should you blow or not? Which, if it's a woman, yes. If it's no, but people say it that way. Should you take the breath test or should you refuse?
Never
See, and
refuse all tests.
and the problem is I don't agree with that, because I think if you tell people just to refuse no matter what, I don't think that's the right advice. What I tell them is, if you're at a point where you can't make up your mind, refuse. But if you really only had 2 drinks and you've been eating dinner and had dinner, you can blow.
They're gonna fuck you up anyways in Brevard. We have actually a fistful of DUIs under 0.8.
Well, that's my point. See, but that's
defensible,
good
but
if it's under 0.8, because then you
then
don't
they
lose
say
your
F-top.
license. Yeah, but you don't lose your license.
What about on the second one? That's tricky, right?
Well, the
You can't
problem is that's
refuse
true.
every time.
No, if you refuse the first time and you do it on the second time, you're not getting a license for 18 months.
Yeah, true, but not true. I mean, the key here is that, my old mentor, Bill Meyer, he said, blow the cop, don't blow the machine.
What if it's a female?
Judge Dan.
What if it's a female cop?
Well, I think
That changes the whole thing.
Well, I think, the fact that we're attorneys, I think we're allowed to define what blow means. It could mean certain
Could mean
sexual
cocaine.
definitions. It could be that too.
Good point.
Yeah, thank you. So,
Joe, you've tried cocaine,
Refuse all
I've-
responses.
right?
I've heard about some of
No.
the effects it can have on you. Why?
I don't.
What do you want to know?
but when it comes to that, the key to understanding is this, is that you need to, as you've just said, understand that if you've had 1 or 2 drinks, maybe you're going to blow below a 0.08.
Well, if
maybe
you blow
you're gonna
below 0.05, you're presumed not drunk. You can have a couple of drinks and eat. I think it's wrong to just tell people refuse no matter what.
Yeah,
it
you're
was.
right. In the state of Florida, it's not illegal
Right.
to have a drink and
Right.
then drive. It's not. It's illegal to have a drink and then drive while you're under the influence of an alcoholic beverage. But that's where the difference lies. And I don't want the client to provide additional evidence that can be used against them later. So, nobody's going to pass the field sobriety test.
Well, I say
Nobody's-
refuse the field sobriety, but take
Right.
the breath test. I would do that if
Okay.
it was me. But that's, again, if I knew I had like 2 drinks and ate dinner over, I'm not worried about it.
yeah, well,
I
how
think
many
it's a
people-
misconception to say, oh, yeah, 1 drink, you're DUI. It's not true.
It's
But the
not true.
problem is the cops here. You know what I mean? Young, inexperienced, and as soon as they get you out of the car, they're going to arrest you.
Right.
So
That's
why
fine.
give them more evidence?
Because it's not more evidence. You're going to blow under 0.05. You're
And they're still gonna
You're
arrest
presumed
you.
not guilty. They're arresting you no matter what, but you don't lose your license and you're presumed not guilty.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get a DUI if you blow below a 0.05 and didn't do your field sobriety.
Well, there's a lot of drugs out there.
No, they'll have you blow and then do a urine.
And do a urine test.
The urine you should refuse, and I'll tell you why there, if you really have some, because then they can't prove what you're under the influence of.
That's true. It only shows that's in your system.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Mhm.
All right, ding, 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 ding. Time for Legally Bald.
Legally bald?
Legally Bald.
Well,
It's up.
Legally bald.
we're here at Legally
The snippet.
Bald. So what Legally Bald is I write this. I write a what do I write?
Colin.
An article for the Brevard County Bar Association, and sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's not. So I try to make jokes, and I did something about the gnome. What was the gnome joke? Do you remember that? Because he was talking about gnomes before. You don't remember? All right. You see, it wasn't that.
I only remember the Rolex one.
Oh yeah, that was good. So I read about this. This is a true.
that
This is a true story. A woman down in Miami was shoving Rolexes up her vagina.
No, come on. No, that's not.
She really was. That's how she was stealing them.
Oh,
And I commented that it must have been her time of the month,
right.
and everybody got upset. Everybody got upset with me, and like all the women, the head of the women's whatever Brevard County Women's Association
Yeah.
felt that I was making fun of periods. No, it was a time joke, not a period joke.
Did she understand after you explained?
I don't know if she did. I'm pro period. I watched that period. I mean, I feel bad that
Period piece.
women have them, but I watched that
We're usually
that
pretty
movie
grateful.
that movie in India where they talked about the period. See, I watched that anyway. But I probably should have said she'll get a lot of time for that. I think biological clock was ticking, wouldn't have been good. So I don't know, but it just came to me.
Right.
So I said that. So I would comment on these, articles you'll see, and then I write little snippets about the articles when I can remember what I wrote. But now being put on the spot, I can't remember.
Oh, I
But
like this one about the clients coming in
this is true.
for the. Yeah, this one's a good one.
So I
role
get-
play, role play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
let's
okay,
do
okay,
this.
let's-
All right, you
I'll-
can be
I'll-
you can play. These are true stories.
Okay, yeah. Hey, I got.
Right here,
Okay.
right here.
Thank,
So
thanks. Emily.
so you could be the you could be Scott.
Okay, I'll be Scott.
You be Scott.
I'll be Scott.
Be Scott.
I'll be Scott.
Go ahead. Just start with this is a freak.
Oh,
Do I have to
okay.
read for you?
No, you don't.
Go ahead.
'cause
I know you're a horrible
yeah.
actor, but you can do it.
This is a free consultation, right?
Yes.
Okay, good, because I don't have any money.
I'm sorry to hear that.
When I was arrested, they never read me my rights, so my case gets thrown out, right?
Did they ask you any questions when you were arrested?
Just biographical information.
Nothing relating to the charges, though.
No.
Then they didn't have to read you your rights.
But on TV, they always do.
That's because on TV they have to read you your rights. You can be Jamie now too.
All right, I'll be
And
Jamie.
then after that,
Then we go back.
would you like the phone number to the public defender?
Yeah, we on this one.
All right.
Okay.
All right,
Moving along.
Jamie and
The
and
high-powered
first-
attorney,
Yeah, okay.
legally bald.
I like
Take
this.
two.
Go ahead, Jamie.
But I never left the store.
But you put the earrings in your pocket
Yes,
and you were heading towards the exit.
yes, but I never got past the cash registers. They stopped me before that.
Unfortunately, once you put the earrings in your pocket, you committed the theft. It doesn't matter that you didn't exit the store, but since it's your first offense, I think I could get the state to drop it. My fee for this type of
Oh, we can't afford an attorney.
you're the mother now.
We were just looking for some free advice. And no offense, but if we could afford to hire an attorney, we'd hire one of those high-powered attorneys like the lawyer next door.
You know, what is a high-powered attorney?
Don't ask me. You're the one who wrote it.
It's apparently not me. I had a guy do that. He's paying me. He goes, if I had the money, I'd hire a high-powered attorney. And I'm like, thanks. Just keep paying me. See, I have no pride as long as he's paying me. I don't care what he calls me. But I think it was an insult somewhere along the line. Anyway.
All right.
But
The next one.
I thought if I asked her if she was a police officer, then she had to tell me that she was.
did you ask her?
Yes, and she said no.
She lied to you
Yes, so can my case get dropped?
because she lied to you?
Yes.
Well, you see, she was undercover. So the only way a police officer can be undercover is to pretend that she isn't a police officer. So she has to tell you that she's a police officer when you ask that she could ever be undercover, and that would defeat the whole purpose of being undercover.
So she would still be undercover to the people who don't ask?
Sort of like a don't ask, don't tell undercover.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, even when you ask, they don't have to tell. But I think in your case, there are other issues that I can use to get the case dropped.
I don't have any money for a lawyer. This was a free consultation, right?
Only for people who ask.
Okay, good.
In case you're ever in this situation again, here's a tip I've learned from my many years of experience. If a prostitute on the street is halfway decent looking and has all of her teeth, she's a cop.
She was halfway decent looking, and she had all of her teeth.
She was a cop.
Ah!
I'm pretty sure that rumor gets started in high school. You know what I mean? You like start smoking doobies, and then all of a sudden they're like, if anybody's trying to sell you anything, ask them if there's a cop. If they're a cop. And if
Well,
they
you're
say
right. I
no,
think that's where it starts. The myth,
it definitely starts in
the
high
myth
school.
of that, and it shows up in the prostitution sting and in the undercover drug, and that's probably where it comes from. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's the most popular. But he lied to me.
But he lied to me.
The police are allowed.
She
to
lied to
lie.
me. All right, money's no object. All right. I just want you to know that money's no object. I just need you to help me.
I'll help you. Trafficking in oxycodone is a very serious offense. You're looking at a 25-year minimum mandatory.
You're saying I get less time if I killed someone?
You know, you're one of the few people who's actually said that and been right. If you were charged with manslaughter without using a firearm, the most you could get is 15 years.
You got to help me, man. I mean it. I can't do no 25 years. You feel me?
I feel you.
I ain't trying to go to prison. You feel me?
I feel you.
But I don't want to do. I don't want no paper either.
You can't do probation.
Now, can you explain, that your feelings when you get that type of?
My
fine?
favorite is when they first come in
Mm-hmm.
crying, desperate, and you're like, yeah, man, okay, we're going to take care of you. What's your goal? No jail, man. I don't want to go to prison. I don't want to go. All right, cool. $5,000. Okay, let's take care of your case. Great news. They're going to do a withhold and you get like 2 years probation. Fuck that, man. I'm not going to do no paper.
You see, you didn't
They should
finish.
drop
You
it.
didn't,
You missed the
finish
point
my
here.
thing. Though.
What
About the
was the
money's
finish?
no object.
But we didn't finish it. The
So
problem
what's
is
the
it got
finish?
cut off.
Oh, is that
So,
it?
so what
That's what I mean.
happens is,
You
so
quote-
so I say to the guy, so you can't do paper and you can't do prison. I go, what do you want? An apology? I mean, you want him to say they're sorry
letter
and
of
drop the
apology.
case? So I keep going, money, but he goes, like, money's no object. I said, all right, it's going to cost you $25,000. He said, well, can I put $500 down and then give you a month? I said, I thought money was no object. Well, it isn't, but, I got to do a payment plan.
It's no object for you.
Yeah, right. It's no object for you, but so that's what happens.
Yes.
People have the worst though that I can't stand is when they pay more for the bondsman than they do for you. Like they say they
Right.
have no money, and then when it's time to bond out, they come up with $10,000 like it's nothing. Meanwhile, they're paying you $500 a month,
Exactly.
and you would say we shouldn't take it, but we're not proud. We need to make money.
All right. Next up.
Yeah.
Defensible or not?
Defensible or not is a
Defensible or
time
not.
thinking game.
Okay,
Time
here we
thinking
go.
game.
Eric, 3 facts.
Yeah.
3 facts, and he's got to.
Was this a real game you came up with, or
Yeah.
you made it up?
I made it up.
You really made this
Yeah, I
game?
made
up?
this
This
game
could be a board game.
No, this is really
It could
fun.
be.
I played it with 46 business members in my business networking group, and people were just laughing
About-
it up.
But it was about law,
Yep. So three facts.
and you made it up.
Yep. Yeah, I made it up.
I'm gonna steal it.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
So passed out on the side of I-95 on the shoulder. Vehicle smoking, inoperable. Cop comes up. Center console filled with wine bottles, vendage, the mini bottles. Defensible or not?
Well, defensible if you argue there was someone else in the car who was driving and he took off, and the other guy got in the car just to see if it would start, but it couldn't. So he's not in actual physical control because the car can't start. I won a case almost like that.
It's all going to be about inoperability.
Yeah, but the problem is, how did the car get there? So you got to come up with something.
Right. And, the argument would be that, pull over the side of the road, smoking, engine, can't drive off,
I'd been there for 2 hours. Maybe.
been there for maybe 15 minutes.
You won 2 hours.
Additional fact.
Yeah.
When the cop came to get her out of the car, she leaped out of the Land Rover with all the mini bottles falling off her lap.
She was trying to clean it up.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going to the glove box. I'm trying to get my important documents.
I heard a case once where somebody won. They had 32 beer cans in there, and the defense was, which made sense because they
30
had
rack.
that many. No, they were collecting them for the aluminum. They were going to return them for the money.
6 cents a can.
These are wine bottles or plastic.
Well, yeah,
Are they
Glass.
recyclable?
They're glass.
Oh, they're glass? Oh, there you go.
we're making money.
That's actually a possibility, right, Eric?
Yeah. I mean, everything's defensible. I mean,
Yeah, anything can. Well, that's
yeah.
not totally.
So true, but not true. I mean, if,
if they
they
have
got you on
s-
camera,
If they have something on video and they're there, I mean, you're kind of stuck. But I've seen crazy cases where there should be no way you win, and they've been won. So
Is
you
that
can
on
just never go.
procedure, the ASA's inoperability, or your luck?
That's an affirmative defense. You have to be able to
It's luck.
establish
When you win cases that
that you
you
shouldn't lose.
lose, the prosecutor. I had a case once. He was a new prosecutor, and he forgot to put the video into evidence.
Oh, jeez.
He wouldn't offer me a reckless. All I wanted was a reckless. He wouldn't do it. Then years later, when he'd bump into people, he goes, "I offered Golub a reckless." I go, "No." All right, whatever.
All right, your turn. 3 facts to Eric. Current case, defensible or not?
I got to make some up now.
No, current case.
One I can't talk about one I have.
Don't tell us any identifying information, just
You
3
can't.
facts.
I have one where the guy was pulled over at 95.
Mm-hmm.
And the cops came. He was passed out. And then the car was operable. And they arrested him for DUI.
Sounds like our case.
Defensible or not?
Pull over to the side of the road.
Oh,
Keys in the ignition.
no, he was parked literally in the lane with the light.
The first lane, the second lane, or the third
Yeah.
lane? There's no lights on
He's blocking
I-95.
traffic.
Wait, does he have any medical conditions?
No.
Defensible or not?
Sure. You said? Did you say it was inoperable or operable?
Oh, it's operable.
Okay. The car has a defect. It's like Tesla, and
I just begged for a wreck.
one of the satellites go out, and next thing you know, your car is just dead on the side of the road. Just so happens that they have another satellite that actually comes into orbit above it, allowing it to activate, which then means that it's now operable.
Actually, the Elon Musk defense might work here in Brevard.
If it was a Tesla, yeah.
If it was
It
a
might
Tesla,
work,
you know, I don't believe in
given
one
the jury
scenarios.
pool.
Yeah, well, also, if it has self-driving, that's still in kind of beta testing.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say there's a problem with the beta testing, the beta software.
Yeah, the
Thank you,
Tesla.
John.
The Tesla was drunk.
Unfortunately,
there
was it
are
like a
cases out there.
2006 Honda Civic or something?
There are cases out there. All right.
All right, moving along. Time for sushi. Brevard reviews.
Well, Joe and I were going to come up with a thing called Suyu Sushi.
See.
Yeah, we were going to name all the rolls after some kind of legal thing.
Yeah. Should we give it away since we're not doing anything with
Since
it?
we never do anything, Joe's works for me. He's supposed to redo my website for 10 years. Still hasn't happened.
I like your website.
It's
Yeah.
vintage.
It's a, yeah.
Oh, it's
I like it.
definitely vintage.
It's,
He's supposed to do that. When
Don't
he-
lose the fight.
Well, you know what's funny? His name's Joe Aiello,
Mhm.
and what happened was he called me because his girlfriend, he couldn't stand her anymore, so he had to sleep in his car. So he tells me he's sleeping in his car. So I felt a little bad. So I said, "Well, why don't you come over to my place?" He shows up. I thought it was his brother. I had the wrong Aiello.
Yeah.
Well, what could I do?
Well, you thought it was Danny Aiello.
right? They thought they were related.
That's
But
also
anyway,
fine.
so
That's
I
a
was.
different story.
So that's a different story. But I couldn't kick him out because it
You
was
already
him.
made
Then you'd
you
have to
already
admit
made the
your
offer.
mistake.
So he was only supposed to be there for like a few months. He's still there. It's been what, 6, 7 years or something?
Over 7, but who's counting?
That's right.
Maybe the cat.
This is the longest relationship I've ever been in.
Aw.
We do not. We are the most heterosexual. Not there's anything wrong being gay, but we're the most heterosexual gay men alive.
Actually, you
Yes,
mean
I
where
noticed.
did you? I think
How's it
you
work?
got that kind of backwards. I think
Did I get that? We're not. Oh, the gayest
the
heterosexual.
gayest
Yeah, the gayest
heterosexual.
heterosexual.
Yeah,
people,
we get.
everybody thinks we're.
I
gay.
think it's adorable. Actually,
It's-
Joe drives Jeff's Tesla.
Well, someone's got to drive.
He's
me
the
around.
Tesla lawyer.
Yeah,
That's right. The Lincoln. There's a Lincoln lawyer, and then there's the Tesla,
Tesla
lawyer.
lawyer.
All right,
mean,
back
after
to
you go to
the
Legally
sushi
Bald.
review.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
And
we're
sometimes he's Miss Daisy.
Yeah. he likes
Depends
that.
on what we're doing.
Yeah,
So
when he
er-
sits on the back.
Right now we went to Arashi too, which is actually Joe's mother works there. But if
What
not
hap-
for Joe's mother, nobody would go.
That's-
What happened to Hirashi
That
1?
place is awesome.
Irashai.
I like it.
What happened to you?
Cement.
I can't say it. You're the one. Who's half,
Irashai 1 was in North Carolina.
he's half Japanese. Yeah.
So they retired, moved down to Florida, opened Irashai 2 because they were bored down here. Go figure. And then they opened it up. It did really well, and then they were tired of working again, and they sold it and went to Japan.
Wow.
It is really
The
good
second
sushi,
one.
though. Very fresh.
Who would have guessed in Palm Bay of all places?
Yeah, but Joe,
Yeah.
you told me how can you distinguish, when it comes to nigiri, sashimi, you can tell about the quality of the restaurant and the expertise of the sushi chef.
If you
when it
want to
comes
test
nigiri.
sushi, you got to go by the nigiri, in my opinion, because you take the sushi and you put it on the rice.
Yeah.
Kimonos in Orlando is really my favorite. I mean, the tuna there, when you see it, they cut it just right. They put it on, because I get bored of tuna. After
Yeah.
a while, some of it just it's rubbery, but they do a really good job. But around here, Irishai is very good with all their fish, and I think we have Naoki also in Palm Bay. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
And also the key is, the rice has to be seasoned. I did a stint as a sushi chef a while back, and the rice has to be properly seasoned. It's such a, it's one of the major components of nigiri, and you can tell right away if the rice isn't right.
How do they season it?
Rice vinegar, sugar, and salt.
I wish they didn't put sugar in it.
You got to put, the sugar companies.
Why can't they have
to put
non-diet-
They have to put the sugar in everything.
Diabetic
Are
rice.
you trying to say you want like stevia?
I would rather.
How about
have that.
sweet and low?
Well,
You think that would do it for you?
it might.
Yeah.
I'm like a sugar-free dad.
Well, it doesn't matter because by the time we get to the plate, Jeff's already eaten it all. And if you put your hand by the sushi, Jeff will bite your hand.
Yeah,
Literally,
that
he took
does
his
happen.
chopstick and he stabbed it into my hand.
Well, I had to eat that, man.
Well, I'm just saying.
Defensible or not?
Well, I think there's the insanity defense that comes from having.
There's
some
the
different-
hungry defense.
The hungry
Yeah.
defense. I'm
Poor
starving.
guy's been at the jail all day meeting
But-
clients.
But to get back to it, I like the fact that Legally Bald's on a sushi tour.
Yeah.
At least once a month, it's going to be Joe, Jeff, Eric, and Emily.
We're trying to eat at every sushi restaurant in Brevard.
Every sushi.
At this rate,
in
it'll
Brevard.
take us at least 30 years.
Well, we got Umami coming up. We have what's that new sushi place in Rockledge?
I don't know.
It's like in a strip mall. Remember we saw it? That's one.
It used to be when restaurants were in strip malls. Well, I'm from New Jersey. It was snobby. They were never good. You didn't want to have a restaurant in a strip mall, but that changed.
Now it's changed.
Now, if it's in a strip mall, it doesn't matter.
If it's
Yeah.
the one I'm thinking of, are we trying to rate the worst ones or the best ones?
All of them.
Oh, damn.
Oh,
Yeah.
Eric even said we got to meet at Dijon's for sushi. Dijon's Market, that is.
Okay.
Because the whole
They have
point.
$5 sushi on Wednesday.
We've had it there. They do it at
Yes.
Publix too.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
whole
I
point is
don't do public
to go
sushi.
to every sushi restaurant in Brevard on the Legally Bald tour.
Okay.
And that includes gas station sushi.
No,
All
really?
right.
They what
So-
gas
no,
stations?
No
do
gas
that?
There's
station
gas
sushi.
station. We're going to try that out.
That should be illegal.
We can choose between the fried gizzards and liver,
Yeah,
or the tuna and salmon nigiri.
I'm just saying.
Okay,
All
I
right.
might eat the gizzards.
That's important. But yeah, Irishai
they're
too
cooked. 'Cause they're good.
was we've gone to some very good ones so far. I like Irishai too.
I mean, good as
we got to meet
Brevard
Joe's
can be.
mom. That was awesome.
Let's go to defending iconic movie villains. We
Yeah,
gotta switch.
moving along,
We're
moving
kind of
along.
we kind of
Okay.
boring during the
For-
sushi thing.
for $100.
It totally got
We
it.
kind of lost
Well,
our edge.
Okay, so Jeff, let's just think about some. Let's you
Defensible or
criminal-
not,
criminal
Freddy
offense.
Krueger.
Yeah,
All right,
well,
yeah, okay.
insanity. See, they all are defensible by insanity.
No,
You know.
look, Freddy Krueger. Now we're not talking about the Freddy Krueger in your dreams. We're talking about the one where they pull him out of the dreams. All of a sudden, he gets arrested. All of a sudden, he comes into Legally Bald's office. What do you tell him? What do you do when he comes to you and he says, "I need a defense attorney"?
How much do you have? I mean, he had a series. He had to make a lot of money.
Well, that was in syndication, so that wasn't one where you made a lot of money, though, Joe.
No, but it's easy to represent Freddy Krueger, Jason. They're both insane.
Dracula's
Dracula's
money.
not insane.
He has money.
Frankenstein, he was made up. It's not his fault.
Well, he did kill the blind guy, though.
Hmm. Leatherface is a true story, though.
Okay, so Leatherface comes into your
Give us a summary of Leatherface because I can't really remember the 80s very well.
He's the chainsaw guy.
Yeah, I remember his
Texas
like,
Chainsaw
stitch-
Massacre.
Texas Chainsaw guy.
Yeah, the shower scene.
No, there was no shower scene.
Well,
What?
that's Psycho.
That was like
That's
the
Psycho.
only 80s horror movie that didn't have a shower scene.
That's Psycho.
No, that's Psycho.
Can't confuse.
That's
Psycho
not
was,
You can't confuse. these
Psycho
movies.
wasn't a true story.
That's
Yeah.
not Leatherface. That was
Yeah, no,
leather and lace.
Wait. Psycho is about masturbates. No, Norman
Ah.
Bates. I'm sorry.
I
Norman
like.
Bates. What?
No, I liked.
Norman Bates comes in your office.
I like Son of Sam.
Okay, so
Oh, that was.
He was
yeah.
cool, kind of. You know.
all right. Well,
They
obviously,
caught him because they caught him only because he parked in the wrong space. You realize that they never could catch him, but they were looking up parking tickets. They found out he parked, so they were just checking out all the people. And when he got the parking ticket, they looked him up and they caught him.
I remember.
That was it.
So, what would his defense be? He was a serial killer.
his
well,
defense was insane.
He's insanity. The dog.
But that's
the dog.
insanity. But how? Like, what are you going to do?
Because he was the son of. He was talking to the son of Sam. Sam's dog.
Yeah, he was talking to a dog.
But
the
how
que- the
does
question is what-
insanity defense actually work? Because we have some clients that
The
are
question is-
insane, but we haven't stitched
question- no,
together
no,
their
no,
defense. How about
it's-
the Parker school shooting in Miami?
So,
That's,
so you understand when it comes to in state of Florida, in federal court, it's called diminished capacity. In the state of Florida, it's called insanity. Now the question would be: are we talking about insanity? Or are we talking about competency? Because competency is totally different. Competency, you could be insane but competent. And competent means the ability to understand the role of the judge, the role of the defense attorney, the role of the state attorney. What do they do? What in the process of the criminal justice system? That's competency. Now, when it comes to insanity, the question would be whether or not at the time of the incident, whether or not that deprived the defendant of having the requisite mens rea. That means the intent to commit the
Now,
offense.
can you say men's rea? Should it be women's rea?
I think that's kind of sexist.
You shouldn't say men's
Person's rea.
rea.
No,
Person's,
person's
rea.
rea.
They need to change that.
I think so too.
but how do you prove that?
How do you
at the
prove that they're in
time?
time? You're going to have an expert. That expert's going to have to look at all the medical records, and when it comes to it, let's say the person's arrested, they're taken to the jail. At the jail, they're taken to what's called the isolation room, or here in Brevard County, they call it the bubble. And at the bubble, you're also going to want to get access to any and all types of notes, contemporaneous notes with regards to observations regarding the person's mental state. And while it's removed from the incident of the crime, you get at least some type of window into the mind of the client at the time closest to the arrest.
Yeah, but define what insanity is. Either you have no idea what you're doing at the time, or you think what you're doing is right. Even though
Well,
it's
in the
not.
case of Son of Sam, I mean, the guy's thinking that he's getting all
Right.
his instructions from a dog.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. You know,
What kind of dog was?
I think it was a German Shepherd.
Oh, well, then he's
It is a smart dog.
But-
There's that song, Dell and the Dealer, and a dog named Jake. If the dog could talk, what tales he tell. Nobody even knows the song.
Have you ever used insanity defense in a trial?
Oh, well, yeah, I said I was insane to help the client. I've argued it before, but usually what'll happen in real insanity, hopefully both doctors would agree. Otherwise, the problem is each side can always find a doctor who says they're insane.
Or
So
not
what
insane?
Right. So what I do is I tell my client, when you're going to get interviewed by the state who's going to find you sane, I say just
Act
go
crazy.
crazy in there.
Yeah.
Like throw feces at them or something weird. You know.
Because we've had that issue. Like, we hired a reputable, doctor, and they find them insane or incompetent. But then the state's like, no, fuck that. We want
And-
our own doctor.
and that's fine.
And that doctor's like, oh, no, they're fine.
They can get their own doctor, and that's where it goes. You have to have, you're going to have a doctor that's going to find them incompetent. Then you're going to have a doctor that finds them competent. And then there's going to be the tiebreaker. That's going to be the third doctor. And that doctor is going to say incompetent or competent.
But how do you get that person that's questionable all the way to jury trial as a defense attorney?
Restoration treatment.
You don't want to go to trial on those because if they did something bad, the jury's going to find them guilty because they don't want to excuse them. Now, if it's not a violent crime or something kind of no one got hurt, then they'll buy the insanity. But they're not going to let you get off on murdering a bunch of people.
But how do you represent a person that's found insane at the jury trial
Well,
ethically?
no, if they're found insane, they won't go to trial.
But that's my question. So how does the insanity defense actually work?
Well, okay, so just getting back, because we got to get to the idea that competency versus insanity.
You're the one who made up the competency.
The
You brought that out of left field. No one even knows what that
Well, it's because
is.
I'm a
See,
defense
stick to
attorney. What are you talking
insanity.
about? Yeah.
What the heck's with you? You're being incompetent.
Well.
Let's go to the insanity.
So can you be insane or have a moment, and then once you're let's call it mid crime, you're just like, what am I doing?
Well, it's temporary. That's very
That's
temporary.
Yeah,
insanity.
I mean-
that's not going to work.
That's
Okay.
Jiminy Cricket.
Okay.
All
All right. So defending iconic movie villains, you kind of covered that. Leatherface, you talked about that.
All right, let's
Oh.
go on to something else here at the Legally Bald podcast.
All right, back to Legally Bald. All right, we're going
Right,
to.
so just going on, and this is the key. Let's say, because in Brevard, in the state of Florida, you have to have a valid license to drive on the roads. Okay, and let's talk about the person that comes to your office. Does a person need to have a driver's license to drive a moped, go-ped, or scooter, or the like on the highway, Jeff?
Well, that's fun stuff because technically some of those you're not even allowed to drive on the highway and they have to be registered, so you couldn't even get a license. But the answer is you can't drive them. So the answer would be yes. Some of those you would, if you can't get a license for, you can't drive them.
Right.
The mistake people have when they have DUIs is they think, oh, well, I don't have a license, so I'll ride a go-ped or a moped.
Right.
But they can't. What they can ride is a motorized bike, which is like basically this really small motor, and they can't go beyond 20 miles per hour.
Correct.
If you could drive beyond 20 miles per hour, then you would need a license. But very few people understand the motorized bike, and the problem is the people who sell them, the moped, the go-ped, they tell them, "Oh yeah, you don't need
You
a
don't have a
license."
The
So-
truth is, you do.
which is the problem. Yeah.
Right,
So
and
you do need one.
Right.
You can, well, the point is you can't drive them without a license. Yeah.
Right. And does a person have to leave the store to be arrested for shoplifting?
Right. We went over that one.
Yeah.
You don't
Because you have a lot of cases where people do come in,
Oh,
and they say, well, look, I made a mistake. I want to do this. What about the issues with self-scanning and things of that nature? Do you see any problems?
well,
with
I've been
that?
seeing a lot of those.
Dude,
and-
whenever I see self-scanning, I just say, "Excuse me, can someone check me out?"
Yeah.
I feel like it's a setup.
Well, I hate those anyway because it takes away from people having jobs. So I'm pretty much anti it. But they have
They're
that
doing their
person anyway.
job.
But
Yeah,
people
yeah.
skip over. Yeah, I should get paid to do that. That's like why I don't like going to the Mangetsu, because the idea of having to cook your own food. I mean, why am I going to
just
cook
went
my
there.
own food? I know, but why do I want to cook my own food? The whole point of going out is so I don't have to cook my own food.
You tell me I have to drink this coffee hot?
And here's the thing too. What if you eat something and you get botulism? Who are you going to sue? Yourself? I mean, it screws up the whole thing. And if you don't like it, you're going to bring it back to the chef. You know what I do?
overcooked it.
What do you do?
You know what I do when I'm
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
I
go.
can't cook. I wait and I watch and I see somebody who, oh, this is good. And I ask them if they'll cook my food. And then they get all upset. You can't do that. You have to cook yourself. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm going to tip myself too.
Yeah.
Since I'm doing everything else
The
myself.
whole self-service nation, it's really just gotten really confusing with the tipping. I mean, obviously we want to tip all the service staff, but then you're doing all the work.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait.
See, I'm going to make a place that goes, make you feel like you're right at home. You bring your own food in there. You have to bring the tables and the chairs. You bring
Right.
your dishes. You clean them up. You do everything.
Yeah.
And then you self-checkout too. I mean, just pretend you're at home.
You just
Take out the
stay home.
garbage.
Yeah.
I just rent you a room and you can pretend you're at home. I mean,
There you go.
I mean, it's
Maybe you can put
it's
some nice
ridiculous.
artwork up or something.
Well, I don't like the pancake place too. You make your own pancakes. Yeah,
What place is
backwater.
that?
It's backwater right around here. You can make your own pancake.
That's
So
what
I
that
was
place-
trying to make my own pancake, and it was ugly. It was olive, and my nephew and niece, they were making really. I didn't want to go there. I wanted to go to IHOP and get like
You're
that
talking about
smi-
crepes or you're talking about
smiley. Well, no pancakes. I wanted to get the smiley
breakfast place.
pancake and
Yeah.
some silver dollars. Oh no, we got to go make our own. So I'm making mine, and they're going, "Oh my God, that's so ugly!" And the kids are making fun of me. Everybody's making fun of me. There's a work of art. I started throwing my batter at them. I was going Jackson Pollock on them.
Look,
Just throwing them on them. And then I got trespassed from the store, which I didn't really care because I went to
that
IHOP and had
wanna
my
go
silver dollars.
there you go. There you go.
All right.
Legally bald.
Yep,
gotta-
that's
In the
legally
flesh.
bald. That
Couldn't
was
you
it.
been charged
in
with
the
battery?
in the batter.
Probably.
In the batter.
Battery in the batter.
So here's a question. So what's proper tipping when you get takeout?
Well, in this economy, I just try to give
Normal.
them as much as I can.
I give 20%,
Okay.
25.
Depends.
Okay.
Depends.
Sometimes I just wonder.
25% when you take out?
Sure,
No,
these
not
people
always.
work hard and they're not necessarily
no.
getting paid.
No,
you
not
know,
always.
You know,
I'm
you are
grateful.
wrapping
I'm
it
grateful for the
up.
opportunity that I'm given, so I'm going to give back. And
Well, if you're
Okay.
doing
It's a
well,
discussion.
if you're
If the
rich,
clients are actually paying,
right? If you're
that
rich
month.
like Eric Wicks, yeah, of
No,
course,
no.
I would do it if I were you too. But since I'm me,
Cool.
you know what I usually say? I said Eric Wicks is going to give you a 25% tip. Call him up.
You leave his card.
Yeah, I usually
Call him for
I
the
give him
tip.
a card and I say, look, he's going to put it on his credit card. He's really nice that way.
all right,
I got, I have, these are
all
some
right,
really
back
good
to Legally
questions.
Bald.
Yeah.
Back to Legally. Where are we at? Can I see that?
Yeah. So, there are
program?
some really good points. All right. So can a person cannot be found guilty of a crime involving a weapon if no weapon is ever found. Is that true?
Well, no, it's not. But the funny thing is, everybody comes in and they go, they didn't find the weapon. They didn't find the weapon. So I should be found not guilty. At first
Right.
blush, it does sound good. But unfortunately, someone can say they saw the weapon. Now, the fact that they didn't have it does make it harder, hopefully, to find them guilty. But here's an ironic thing. If you actually used a toy gun
Yeah.
and they charged you with armed robbery
Yeah.
and they don't find the gun, you got a good chance, if the jury believes it, of actually going down for armed robbery. In that case, you'd be better off if they found a
Found the
fake
gun.
gun, because then they can't charge you. So sometimes that can backfire too.
I have a whole case of weapons
Yeah.
at home.
You're in
Don't
trouble.
commit any crimes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't.
don't do it.
No, I mean
Don't get caught.
they were confiscated.
Do the
Don't
police?
Don't get on probation
Ah.
either.
Do the police have to
Then the-
videotape or audio tape everything they do, Jeff?
They should, but they don't have to.
Well, guess how many precincts in Brevard have body cam?
Melbourne does.
Melbourne does.
Does the sheriff have
Palm
that?
Bay does. West Melbourne does. Rockledge does. Satellite Beach, do they have them, Eric?
They usually they've always had video.
India
Yeah,
Atlantic,
any-
they don't count.
Right.
Brevard
Satellite
County,
Beach has in-car.
Brevard County, no, man, we can't afford it.
You know what? I had this conversation.
What would Wayne do?
That's BS.
He wouldn't record it.
That's BS.
All right.
They can record.
Yeah, I never confirmed
should
it,
have
but I
it. They
heard that
should
they
have
don't
it. No,
have
it's
body
true.
cams.
They don't because they can't afford it.
Oh, here's one I
Yeah,
hear a lot.
incredible.
this
Yeah,
is
go for it.
this is the best one.
Yeah.
Someone commits a crime and there's a witness, and they go, "Can I marry the witness?" And this way, they can't testify against me.
Well, there is spousal
right. There's
privilege.
some truth
is,
to all
spou-
these.
is spousal privilege
That's right.
apply?
Well, it would.
Retroactively.
It doesn't. Right. It doesn't apply retroactively, and it only applies to what someone tells you, not what they observe.
Right.
That's why in domestic violence, otherwise no one would ever be found guilty, because you'd say,
Correct.
"Oh, I can't." So what people don't realize, it's just what you told them, not what you
And-
actually did.
Right.
Actually, I'd like to take this moment to tell our audience, if you really want to fuck up your partner, here's what you do.
Yep.
Videotape them acting insane in the home. Try to get them to hit you with a stick or maybe their fist. Videotape them, call the cops, get them arrested for domestic violence. What's next? Injunction, baby. And
Especially,
then file a divorce. Take the little kids, fuck them. Then you can really get them.
Fuck the kids.
No,
Yeah.
fuck the partner.
That leads me to the next question, Jeff.
but you can do the divorce first and still get the same result.
I don't think so.
Serve the papers and then
No, I think you should catch him in the criminal act, put him in injunction headlock, and then serve him with divorce papers.
okay.
That seems to
know,
be a very successful route.
Yeah.
That reminds me, I was dating this woman, and the relationship was getting boring.
Mhm.
So we decided to go down and get dueling injunctions against each other.
Oh, how fun!
was
How did it go?
Well, what happened was mine
Did you
was
represent yourself?
well, mine was denied, hers was granted, and I haven't been back to the house in years.
Ba-bump, bump.
Yeah.
All right. Can an off-duty police officer arrest someone?
Yes.
Wait,
and
wait.
no.
In Brevard, they can shoot the person and then get acquitted.
That's true.
That's true.
Yes. If it depends. If it happened in their jurisdiction, it'd be okay. If it's in another jurisdiction, it could be a problem.
And then they can get rehired.
But what's so the off-duty police officer does present an interesting issue.
Get paid time off too.
That's true.
FMLA. Fuck my life, assholes. I mean, sorry, what does it stand for?
What does that stand for?
Yeah, I don't. That's the Family Marriage, the Family
I'm
Medical
just
Leave
kidding.
Act, though.
Yeah. Exactly.
Ah.
Mhm. But
Right.
in court,
How many times have you heard someone say she's going to change her story at trial?
Oh yeah, that's their defense. If your best defense is she's either not going to show up or change her story, and they're like, "Don't worry, she's not going to show up. She's
She's
going
gonna
to change her
drop it."
story." And then you get to the trial, and I go, "That's her, and she's not changing her story." Yeah, well, I didn't say we were ready for trial. I'm like, thanks, dude. I was going with the she's not going to testify defense. It never works.
Well, what about
Sometimes.
what about the time when if a witness, my witness, cannot appear in court?
Your
Can they
witness?
Can they submit affidavits?
Oh, yeah. People don't, and I get this. Everybody always asks, well, can my witness just submit an affidavit because they can't show up? I say, well, that's hearsay. And they go, even if it's notarized? And I go, yeah, because the other side can't cross-examine them. I mean, would you like them to just do affidavits? And, they understand.
No, and that's a right that any
Right.
defendant has, is to cross-examine any of their accusers and to present witnesses on their behalf at trial.
But even for the prosecution, they got to be able to cross-examine the witness.
They do. They absolutely do. But those are some questions that people do ask.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have witnesses that want to appear, they can't appear because they have work or they're going to be out of state. So they think, and rightfully so, because they don't have that experience or knowledge.
Now, I think these
That's the-
days with Zoom and Teams, people are going to eventually let them, but not yet. I mean, if you object to it, they won't.
Right.
It's going to get to that point. I
And you
think, that
can, and
they
you
will.
can. I mean, logically, you're allowed to use Zoom now, but the other party has to agree to it.
Right. And now, no one's
Well,
gonna
actually, we had
agree.
this one case, and she just kept objecting to the deposition on Teams, even though she was 12 miles away. Remember, Eric?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And the
And
fact
she
is,
said, no, it's my right. And we're like, no, lady. We're like, we'll come to you. How's that?
so why did you decide to go into criminal defense, Jeff? I know it's
Well,
like
when
your
I
own job,
was
you can get, but-
when I was little.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, being Jewish, you only could do three things: an accountant, a lawyer, or a doctor, maybe an engineer. There's no imagination to be a businessman and something where or a woman where you can make like a lot of money.
Yeah.
You got to do this, that. So I sucked at math and science. I knew how to read, sort of. So I had to become a lawyer. There was no choice. So, but I did have these fantasies when you would watch stuff that I even fantasized about being a public defender, which I was, that I'd win the big case and become famous.
Did you do misdemeanors or felonies in public defender land?
Misdemeanors and then felony. So I had the big dream. It hasn't happened yet, but I keep
Still
waiting.
dreaming.
I keep
Yeah.
waiting. Yeah, but I think there was always that idea of defending, defending someone innocent and getting them.
How often does
not
that actually
guilty.
happen?
Well, the problem is you don't want to represent an innocent person because if you
Yeah.
lose, you really
Then you
bad.
feel bad.
If you represent a
No,
guilty
that-
person,
And they still have to pay.
then at least they're still. You can say, well, at least they were guilty.
Right.
But I did represent this guy who was totally innocent. We had to prove it by getting all the cellular phones. It took me 3 years to finally get. Luckily, he was out of jail at the time, but we did get him to drop it after like the fourth prosecution.
Damn. We had a stellar case in 2020.
Mhm.
It was armed. What was it? Armed entry into the home,
Yeah, the guy.
Home invasion.
No, the guy
Home
was
invasion.
the guy was charged with burglary
and his
PBO.
wife.
burglary battery. So the
Life felony.
Yep.
yeah, the guy was alleged to have committed
Firefighter.
he was alleged to have entered the home,
Good
and while he was
civilian.
in the house, he allegedly struck somebody.
It wasn't
Battery.
his house,
It was a rental.
but it was
house.
there was a fire.
That was owned. No, there wasn't a fire.
That would have been
There
good.
were
But it was owned
drug
by his
addicts.
father-in-law, and he had no history whatsoever. Good guy, just it's like a Alfred Hitchcock movie. Regular people under unusual
Right.
circumstances, and we find out that the alleged victim had tried to extort the father. Saying
She actually said,
saying that if you
Buy
let
me a ticket to Pennsylvania, me and my dog, and some winter clothes, and I'll drop the case.
that's not exactly the entire story. The entire story is that she had gone to the father-in-law, said, "I want you to buy me a ticket for myself, my daughter, and my son,
And my dog.
and pay for my dog. Also buy us winter clothes and to give us some."
Was the
a
dog going to
stipend."
get a ticket too?
Yeah.
Wow.
The dog to
That was
get
part
the
of
Well, you do have to pay, right? Extra.
It's a
for
large dog.
right,
Large
and,
Yeah.
and then the other one was that if you give me my truck back, and so in both cases, you said if you do that for me, I'll drop the charges.
And our PI got it on.
Yeah, and so we had our
Hey, you
investigator.
got a good PI.
Yeah,
Recorded
Nicholas-
audio
Nicholas
with
Sandberg.
permission.
Nicholas Sandberg's an amazing investigator, so he got into the jail, got into the room with the witness,
We went
And
multiple
she-
times to the jail and we took the evidence,
and
remember?
so she.
Yeah, I know why you guys
she's-
getting divorced.
Yeah. So she tells the investigator, as he was, if they do this for me, I'll drop the.
But if you do, I mean, I don't do divorce, but I
No.
think I would make an exception.
You
We
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, we should talk about burglaries the next show, because a lot of people don't understand what a burglary
They confuse them
really
with
is.
robberies. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we'll save that.
Yeah, we'll
So-
save that for the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's the
Yeah,
bathroom?
no, it's all right.
Still looking
No,
for
but
the
but I was going to tell you about my first night in Key West before I got my interview with the state attorney's office.
Yeah. What happened?
No, we'll save that for the next time.
No,
Oh, see,
I
you're
like
leaving
that.
us hanging.
You
Wanting
have
more.
to.
I'm hanging somewhere.
Okay, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. This has been Legally Bald in Melbourne, Florida.
With-
And we will see you next time.
With your host Jeff Golub, and I'm Eric Wicks. Thank you.
And
very
Brought
much.
to you by
And
the
Joe.
law offices of both Eric Wicks and Jeffrey Gallup. Contact Eric Wicks at 321-733-2700 or reach out to Jeffrey Gallup at 321-757-6848. Call today.